Happy National Dog Day. We celebrate all dogs, pure and mixed. Well, as you know, we've already discussed the top 10 most asked questions about dogs. This time, we'll be exploring how we could provide more care for them and learn more about their behavior.
So let's dive into these dog questions that maybe you're a little bit shy to ask your vet. And I'm here to answer those questions. This is Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life.
And this is Donnie, your chief treat lady at Vital Pet Life. We're here to talk about pets, pet nutrition and wellness, anything that can help our fur children live a longer, vibrant, and happier lives.
All right.
Yeah. Welcome to Vital Pet Life Podcast. Dr. Amber, so we do have a lot of questions. So one question is very controversial because I know a lot of people don't really want to take this. A lot of people have stigma over like it's called parasite, but I think it's the heartworm. Yeah, heartworm control. Should the pet be taking it and how often?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually I recommend year-round heartworm prevention, and that's coming from, I live in an area where we don't have a huge heartworm burden, but all it takes is one bite from a mosquito and from an infected mosquito. So one bite and they can get infected. Now, the scary thing about heartworm too is that it's pretty advanced before we start to see signs. So if we're not testing, we're not treating, inside they're slowly getting worse and worse before we actually show signs. The benefit too of having your pet on heartworm prevention is that it also kills intestinal parasites. Usually they're, either one drug or a mix of a couple of drugs, depending on the preventative that you use, that kills intestinal parasites. And for me, and, in many areas of the country, those intestinal parasites are everywhere. They're in the ground, they're in the grass, anywhere where other pets or wildlife have been. So I think it's a good idea to treat for parasites depending on what kind of lifestyle they have too. So for example, indoor-outdoor cats who are hunters, if they're eating mice and birds, then they're at really high risk of getting tapeworms. And so, for those type of cats, you would want to treat for tapeworms, where if your dog or cat is not a hunter, they're not going to get tapeworms because it has to go through that mouse or bird for them to get it. So anyway, I think it's a good idea for intestinal parasites, heartworm, and then depending on your area or the lifestyle, tapeworms, flea and tick too. I didn't regularly treat my dog flea and tick prevention because of the area I live in. We hardly have any fleas, and I didn't really travel with him. But if you're traveling, if you're, hiking, camping, or you live in an area where there's lots of fleas, then of course you'd want to do that too.
Yeah, unfortunately for me, like the two guys, Martin and Tuxedo, has to be on Trifexis. So I give it to them like every month. We do get seasonal mosquitoes in the area, which is really annoying, especially at the time. And I think there might be some ticks too when we hike. Like, so I'm not really sure, like the bushes. So again, prevention is really a key in helping our animals.
Yeah. And then as far as how often, it depends on the medication you're giving. Most of them are going to be once a month. There's some products on the market that last 3 months in the system with one pill. So, talk to your veterinarian, follow the directions on the label for whatever product you're using.
Yeah, I know. Because like this is really controversial for me, the medicines, because like I know a lot of people would never give their dogs because they think that it causes like problems. But I think the amount of problems that I'm not, the amount of problems that you're thinking, like it will just trickle down with being preventative, right? Like,
yeah. And overall, if they're given the way they're supposed to be given at the dose they're given, they're typically really safe drugs.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. Okay. How do you recognize or any tips when it comes to making sure that the dog is okay to be petted? I think we discussed discussed this in our old. We have another podcast talking about like how to, to read the dog's body language before petting.
Yeah. Yeah, so give that a listen. Quickly, though, if you are on a walk or you're at the dog park and you want to pet a dog, number one, ask the owner first. How is your dog? Is it okay if I pet them?
Yeah.
Because sometimes a dog might look friendly and maybe they're going to be dog aggressive and you're walking your dog too. And so that you don't want a dog fight, you don't want to get bitten, of course. So obviously, just ask the owner first.
Yeah.
Couple of signs to watch for with anxiety or aggression. And sometimes dogs can get really anxious and then get aggressive, or they're just aggressive. And so, to things to watch for, cowering, backing away, ears pinned, tail tucked. On the other end of the spectrum, you can have dogs that are very like they're not going to back away. They're standing up strong. They're looking you right in the eye, which is actually like a dominant kind of aggressive type of behavior for a dog. So if they're looking you right in the eye, they're very attentive. Their ears are straight up and pointed forward. Those are more signs of kind of dominance and like, I'm watching you. Definitely, some dogs are fine being pet on the head, but others are really, really head shy. And so
Yeah.
you never want to just like go up and pet a dog that you don't know right on the head. That's kind of a dominant,
I,
aggressive type of behavior for some dogs. And so if you see any of those, I mean, beyond that, like if the dog's pupils are huge, their eyes are wide open, you can see the whites of their eyes, like
oh, really?
those are signs. Yeah. Cause normally, if you just look at your dog, like you don't usually see the whites of their eyes, but if their
Hmm.
eyes are wide open and you can see those whites, then that's just not normal. That's either, scared or, um,
Ready to,
and
yeah.
yeah, ready to do something, or they're looking at you side. We call it the whale eye. Like they're kind
Oh,
of
yeah. Side
looking
eye.
at you sideways out of the side. Yeah. Giving you the side eye. Then those are all things that I would say,
I,
just back up. Not
yeah.
worth it.
I get nervous because, like, there's a lot of like outdoor sitting areas here in LA, like, especially for breakfast and all those stuff. We enjoy being out. Some dog parents, they're not conscious that the dog is already. I really watch the owners. That's how I see it. Like, okay, how is the owner like walking the dog, especially when, big guys or smaller guys. Because I've noticed like a lot of dogs go straight and then go sideways. Like
Yep.
especially if the dog like turns and goes to my dog. Like I'm like, oops. So that's when I'm very cautious.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not about going near to an animal, but it's also like being conscious when you're walking your dog, especially in a side street when there's coffee shops, like outdoor sitting. We're lucky that we can do have that here
Mm-hmm.
in the US and here in LA we have that. But yeah, it's really like a lot of consciousness should be put in there when you're walking your dog or
Oh,
just like
for sure. Yep.
bringing a dog or even seeing dogs on the sidewalk or even in the park. Yeah. Well, I didn't know anything about the eyes this first time. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Another question. Okay. Oh, so it's sunny. Yeah, I see this in tuxedo all the time. Like, how long does a dog can stay out in the sun? I try to use it as how we sunbathe, like, for like anything from morning sun to like before 9 is good. Like, and then 3 o'clock towards maybe sunset is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the same?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as long as, it's comfortable for you, it's okay for your dog. I would avoid the really hot parts of the day, just like
Yeah.
us, just like you said, and just make sure there's, shade available, there's plenty of cool fresh water no matter how long you're going to be out. Pet stores will sell those really cool bottles that are kind of they have a bowl attached like
Yeah.
so you can always have some fresh water with you. So
Mhm.
kind of gauge how your dog's doing. If they're, excessively panting, they're laying down, like you're getting hot, it's probably time to go inside and get some air conditioning.
Yeah, I mean, I always like double check in tuxedo because he's got dark hair, and they easily get warm, and
Yeah.
sometimes we just let him like, and they love it after mealtime. After
Mm-hmm.
lunch, they really wanted to come out. After peeing, they just wanted to be outside. But I give them pretty much as you said, like I gauge the sun. Like I feel the sun lately has been really warm, and it's good for them early in the morning, but in betweens. Like I'm like, no, guys, 2 minutes. That's
Yep.
good.
Yep. Don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it. And then they come back. Even just walking in the pavement, like, for peeing outside too. I always check the pavement if it's too warm for me or not, because, their paws might be, they're different for us. They don't wear
Right.
shoes.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and their pads are thick. It's a thick, tough skin, but they can
It's
still get
cute.
burned. And so
Yeah.
if it's too hot for you to go barefoot, then it's probably too hot for your dog too.
Yeah.
So you can
Exactly.
invest in some dog boots, wet down the sidewalk before they run across it. If it's
It's,
just a little bit, just kind of cool off, like if there's a patio that they have to run to the grass.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just be cautious.
Yeah, and then I have another question, like the roughness of the pad, does it tell something? Like, I mean, it's good, as I said. To what extent? Like, I'm always worried if it's too cracky. So, because
Yeah.
kids put like a balm on their foot too. Like, I don't want them to have princess balm. We call it pad. But
Yeah. So there is a condition that's pretty common. Usually not too big of a deal. It's called hyperkeratosis.
mm,
I've seen it in a lot of older dogs, and they kind of get like, especially around the edges at first, the edges of the paw pads, you'll see like these little tiny finger looking things, and they're really dry and hard. There's some kind of over the counter stuff that you can do, some balms that you can use. That's usually not a big deal. I would be worried about if there's cracking or peeling or bleeding, because sometimes there's autoimmune conditions that can affect their paw pads.
mhm,
But if it's just that regular hyperkeratosis, it's
mhm,
not usually that big of a deal.
yeah, that's true. Thanks for all the info, Dr. Amber.
Of course.
Okay, next question. How to maintain proper grooming and then matting? And is there a certain supplement? Of course. So I feel like this is very basic. Like I brush my dog's hair at least once a day. And I don't know how many times a day should we brush their fur, but I
Yeah.
kind of wanted to brush them every morning, just when they're relaxing. I kind of wanted to do that because like
Yeah.
where I also notices bumps or maybe like especially with Tuxedo, he's getting older. I think just recently he had like seborrheic what do you call sebor like it
Seborrhea?
seborrhea. Yeah, I had it.
Yeah.
What happened? Where you got first? I thought it was tick bites. That's why I'm like, oh my god, like we had to trim the yard, the hedges, because maybe he got it from there. But I don't really know how he got it. But he had it in his back, and it was
Yeah.
kind of yeasty and all those. So I ended up like cleaning it. Luckily, I still have the ointment from my vet, and in a day, it was gone.
Oh,
Like
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then again, I just double dose on salmon oil because I feel like he might be needing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on the breed. I mean, obviously, like short-haired dogs are not going to get matted, but they can shed a lot. And so
Yeah.
just, brushing, they make kind of some rubber gloves that you can,
Mhm.
that are made for grooming. So for those short hair dogs, you can just kind of brush them with that and it pulls out that loose short hair. For other breeds like Shih Tzus, Yorkies,
Oh,
certain
that.
types of terriers, poodles, they can get really matted. Like their hair is just so fine that it's really
Yeah.
easy for them to mat up. So yeah,
Mhm.
frequent brushing. I mean, I would say if you're not, you don't necessarily have to do it every day, but you know, probably like a couple times a week at least.
Yeah.
When some dogs, if they're just already too matted, then take them to a professional groomer, have them
Mhm.
shaved down. Because sometimes, if there's one or two little tiny mats and it's not super close to the skin, you can kind of work with
Mhm.
a comb to comb that stuff
Yeah.
out. But if it's really close to the skin, it's tugging,
It will
it's
really hurt.
uncomfortable, then it's sometimes it's just easier to shave them down and kind of start clean.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then just keep up on the brushing as they grow back.
Yeah. Also, I think when it comes to grooming, like I'm always checking if my dog is licking certain areas of
Hmm.
their body because I feel like it's a sign for me that okay, maybe there's matting in there, or maybe there's like some itchy stuff. And
Yeah,
the more they lick the area, the more the hair gets matted. I mean, that's how it all
yep.
started. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. And then as far as, supplements or food, I would say in normal healthy coat, anybody can really benefit from fish oils. I know we talk about this all the time, but I love, love, love fish oils. I think it's so good for their skin and their coat.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if they're kind of dry and itchy, I would say it doesn't necessarily decrease the shedding unless, like, if they have some kind of medical condition that's
Yeah.
causing their hair to fall out more than it should, then that might help. But if it's just normal shedding, that just takes brushing consistency, and some groomers will do like a really good comb out, they'll get just as much as they can, and that'll help. Yeah, it's just kind of staying on top of it and being consistent about grooming and brushing.
Yeah. That's amazing to know all those stuff. Okay, this is funny. Humans can be. Is there such a thing as left handed or right handed for dogs?
So I've never had that question before. So I did a little research, and it seems like some studies found there was no real dominance one way or the other. Like, humans, most people are right-handed. I think about 10% of the population is left-handed. It didn't seem like that drastic in dogs. I think it was more like 50-50. And some of the studies I found were kind of interesting, like, are right-handed dogs more likely to be aggressive, or are left-handed dogs better
Oh God.
service dogs?
Really?
So yeah, it was kind of interesting, the studies I found. It didn't really seem consistent, but there were a couple of things that I thought, well, if you're curious and you want to do this at home, then you might be able to see if your dog is right-handed or left-handed. So one of them is the Kong test. So most of us know what those Kong toys are. So you
Yeah.
stuff it with treats, you kind of put it in front of them, and then you watch them as they eat and see if they're holding it more with their right hand or their or right paw or left paw as they're eating.
Oh
So
my God.
that's one. And then the other one was to have them standing on a level surface,
Uh-huh.
not walking. And then as soon as they start walking, you see which paw they use first to walk. And so, of course, like, repeat this several times and see if you can see a difference. Just, that would be like if you're bored or you have a lot of extra time. And
Oh
you're really curious, you can do these little non-scientific tests on your dog and see.
gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, that's fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, another question. Okay, what's the healthiest weight for a small, medium, and large dog?
Yeah.
Okay.
So rather than, because I've had a lot of clients like, how much should my dog weigh? And just like in humans, you're going to have different body shapes. Like, some of
Yeah.
them will just kind of be bulkier than others at a normal weight. And
Mm-hmm.
so the big thing you want to look for, and this is something I did on every patient when I was in practice, is called a body condition score. So you're you're feeling the ribs. Can you feel the indents between the ribs without putting any pressure in? If you're pushing in to fill those indents, then that's extra weight. If you can see the ribs, then they're too skinny.
Mm-hmm.
Except for certain, like, probably German short hairs,
Yeah.
Vizslas,
What about a
boxers,
beaver?
like some of those dogs that are just really naturally thin. If you can see their ribs, but they have good muscle structure, then they're okay. But for the most part, if you can see the ribs, they're too thin. If you have to push in to fill them, they're too big. And then looking down on them, if you're standing above looking down, they should have a little hourglass
I was
waist,
about to say
like
the
kind
curve.
of thicker in the chest, a little tuck, and then the hips are a little bit wider. So
Yeah.
and then if they're standing and you're looking across their belly, they should have a nice tuck up underneath their belly. So if they're kind of like chest, belly, back legs, it's all the same, then that's extra weight there. So the same goes for cats, except that cats do have a little fat pad on their belly.
Mm,
So if you feel a little fat pad, but they still have the tuck, that's okay. Obviously, if they're walking and the fat pad's like bloop,
Mhm. Oh
then
God.
that's too fat. That's a lot of extra weight there.
is is that a muffin top for us?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's funny. All right. Okay. Lastly, tear stains. What causes that and how could I remove them? I mean, some dogs really have, I feel like, tear stains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And obviously, it's more visible in dogs with a light hair coat. So you see that brown, rusty color on their faces, where, dogs with darker coats might have it and you just don't see it because it's
Yeah.
hidden in the color of their coat. But the cause is enzymes in the tears that stain the hair. And so, usually, if they're not having any signs, they're not squinting, there's no redness, they're not pawing, then, to have a little bit of staining is normal. Obviously, if you see any of those signs, I don't like to wait on eyeballs. I have a lot of people contact, hey, my dog's squinting, his eye's red. There's a lot of drainage. Like, take him into the vet. Don't wait,
Mhm.
because eyesight is so critical, of course.
Yeah.
If you have no medical conditions, they're normal, their eyes are normal, but the staining bothers you and it seems like you want to do something about it, then there are some products over the counter that are tear stain wipes. Just make sure that it's specific for that, so it's not going to be harmful if you get the cleaner close to the eye.
Mhm.
There's a line of products called Optics Care,
Oh.
OPTIX Care, that I've used a lot when I was in practice. They have kind of eye lubricants and things like that. And they do have products that are specific for cleaning tears. In my experience, that's a great product. And they do have the tear cleaning wipes or some spray that you can just clean those eyes up. The other thing you can do is, a lot of those dogs, like they're dogs that need to be groomed on a
Mhm.
regular basis. And
Yeah.
so you can ask your groomer just to kind of take the electric blade and kind of scoop out the hair in the corner of the eyes. And
Mhm.
so that just, it shaves off some of the hair that tend to get stained and kind of crusty.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
use paper towel. Like I usually
Yeah.
just put like warm water in it, and then I mean, tuxedos sometimes have gunks, and he won't. That's the only way. Like, it's really hard, and I don't want to just pull it down because I
Yeah.
might hurt. So I kind of wanted to make it more like soft before I pull it out.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I had a dog that has tear stains.
yeah, one other thing, because I had a lot of clients ask me this over the years, is like the powdery stuff that you sprinkle on their food. I'm sure there's different brands, but I never really recommended adding anything to their food, like any kind of oral supplement that's specific for decreasing tear staining. Because
Oh,
I
is there
think,
is there one? Is there?
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
really.
I had multiple clients over the years ask me about these products, and I'm like, I don't really know what's in them,
Yeah,
and because
yeah.
it's not usually a problem, it's just
Mhm.
more cosmetic, then I worry about
What
giving
it?
a supplement specifically for just decreasing tears
I
when you
mean,
can just clean it away,
exactly. I
So
mean,
that's just my opinion.
I think I'm guilty of that because, like, when I saw that Tuxedo's eyes was a little bit like, oh, cloudy and all those stuff, like, he's 11, he's turning 12.
Hmm.
I basically jump and, research online and bought this eye medication. Like, it's like a supplement. I don't even know what's in there, but I
Hmm.
started giving it to him. And I mean, it's like a good and bad thing because I think after a day of taking it, like he had like diarrhea, he doesn't really know what's going on. But
Oh, poor
I took
thing.
him
Yeah.
to, I think it was just like some weird stuff that's in it. It's not settling in his body. So we took him to ER. But again, the good thing was that because of ER, that's when we found out because we just have, we don't know what's going on. This is the first time we've done it. He was really like pooping everywhere, like he doesn't know what's going on. And then
Hmm.
we saw that like X-ray everything, just check him, blood work, all those stuff. And then that's when we found out that he had bladder stones. That
Oh,
was
wow. Yep.
yeah. And then we have to take it out right away because it was spiky. Remember?
Yeah. Yep.
Take it
I
out.
remember. Oh,
Yeah, but yeah, I'm guilty. with doing, and then I don't even know. I just stopped giving it to him.
Well, and I think it's all like it's in good faith. Like you want to help your pet, you want to do something. But to me, like if it's just a cosmetic thing and there's no
Yeah.
problem, then I don't like to mess around. I'm
I
just
mean,
like, it's okay.
that's
I can keep cleaning the eyes
I
and deal with it.
Amber, like, okay, so I think, best tip or probably takeaways, in this conversation, like all these questions, right? Same thing with us. Like, we don't want to take anything that we think we need. Like, always go back in and, whatever. I always go back to like less is better.
Yeah,
Make sure that, the diet is good, like
right.
he's happy and healthy, like try supplements, that are really like encompassing, that can be beneficial to not just the skin, but also like the cardiovascular system or eyes. Like I feel like omega-3 could be good with eyes too, but yeah, I mean, I think again, less is better.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you
It's
have
like,
questions, contact your vet,
yeah, I
So
always
many
go to
times over the years I had clients come in and, oh, well, I looked this up on the internet and I just thought, oh, you could have called me. I would have talked to you. So just, yeah, make sure you're getting information from a good source, which
exactly.
we always try to be that. Some of,
uh,
I try to, some of it is my opinion for sure, but I do try to give you guys good, solid medical information too.
I mean, that's the reason why we have this podcast. Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah, because like again, I'm a good example of a pet parent that Googles everything. Now we have Dr. Amber here to like take me away, like Donnie, relax. Like let's try to address this correctly.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast and tuning in. Don't forget to follow our channel for more talk about pet tips, advice, and other fun stuff.
Happiness, vibrance, and longevity for our fur babies and our planet.
This is Dr. Amber, your official veterinarian at Vital Pet Life. Happy National Dog Day!
This is Donnie, your chief treat lady at Vital Pet Life. Love your pure and mixed fur babies. Have an awesome day. Till next time.
Bye!
Bye.